Hello everyone, welcome to the second episode of Ramble On with me, Sped.
And me, Churd.
And me, Churd, not to be confused with Me Julie, the famous song by Shaggy. Today we've decided to whip out our cameras and not whip anything else out because we wanted to show you our lovely faces and how expressive we are when recording this podcast. Isn't that right, Churd?
Yes.
That expression says it all, doesn't it? So returning to the show, we've got, as always, part one is going to be beer and gear, where we crack open a lovely beer that we've sourced from a local vendor, probably Tesco. And then we're going to talk about what we've both been up to musically and other jobs and things like that. We've got a section. I think in the third section, we're going to do something. We're either going to talk about our experiences recently with teaching, but I also have a fun little game that I want to play with Churd. You like games, don't you?
I do.
It's not planned, but it's very exciting.
I don't know what's happening, at least.
And then we're going to finish with the Q&A, which should be really cool. So yeah, don't worry. The game, it's not like Saw or anything. You're not in any danger.
It sounds exciting.
It is exciting. So why don't we kick off with beer and gear then? Do you want to start? I think I started last time, so you go for it.
Yeah, sure. It's going to take me ages to open mine. I went...
What, is it corked or something? What is it?
It is corked, yeah.
Is it actually corked?
It's the good old Leffe. But the Leffe Brun.
Wonderful. Showing it to the camera?
Indeed. Oh, look at the bottle on that.
Have you got a corkscrew?
No, you can just pop it off. I love to
Go on then.
pop it off. I'll do it in a minute.
This.
I'll do it in a minute. Hang on. Oh no, they've changed it.
Tell you what, whilst...
Oh, they've changed it, mate.
Why, what is it?
They've put screw tops on it now. I forgot.
Show the camera how disappointed you are. Hold it up.
Hang on. I've been defeated by foil. Oh,
you've been foiled.
We're foiled again. I'm just giving you all the puns.
Do you like my hat?
Definitely.
This is Gabby's hat. And I just thought, you know what? Because this camera's like coming down on me. You know, I wasn't ready to see whether or not I had a bald spot. So I just thought I'd wear Gabby's hat. You got your victory.
Yeah,
he's got his victory tankard.
Victory tankard. Always. All right, there you go. I'm going to pour
Hold it up. Hold it up.
What?
To your camera. You've got to show people
Hang
you're
on.
pouring it in, you see.
Something terrible's happened.
Have you poured it really badly and it's frothing?
Yeah, we won't show the camera that.
Right, I'm going to crack my beer up.
Leave that for a bit.
I've decided to go for Vocation Brewery.
Yep.
And I wanted to try the Heart and Soul, which is a session IPA. I've not tried it yet, and I got a little can of it, and I think it looks delightful. What do you think?
Yeah, looks all right.
Do you know much about this one?
No. Tell me more.
So, this is our brewery's Heart and Soul, created to have all the hoppy goodness of an IPA, but brewed to a seasonable shit. Let me start again.
Sorry.
This is our brewery's Heart and Soul, created to have all the hoppy goodness of an IPA, but brewed to a sessionable strength. Its intense fruit salad character comes from a generous... Its intense fruit... You should just make a face at the... You should make a face at the camera now. Do you know why I'm finding it hard to read? Because I'm losing the natural light because you were clearing up your fruit, your fucking cereal bowls. Right. This is our brewery's Heart and Soul, created to have all the hoppy goodness of an IPA, but brewed to a sessionable strength. Its intense fruit salad character comes from generous additions of West Coast hops. Obviously, that's the US West Coast, not like somewhere in Wales or something. A full-bodied and fruity beer with notes of passion fruit, grapefruit, gooseberry, pineapple, and mango.
Sounds very nice. No, try pouring it and not putting a massive head on it like I have.
I'm just going to go for it out the can. Oh, that is very, very nice. I love Vocation. Life and Death. And what's the blue one? Pride and Joy?
Yeah.
So good. Go on, Tesco. Actually, I got these from the co-op because I get 10% off on my NUS. I'm going to pop that there.
I'm going to try and pour mine again.
It's the type of beer I needed after you took approximately over an hour and a half to set up all your stuff.
I didn't know we were filming to start.
Well, we are filming because I want people to show. I want to show people how mortified I am with you. So that was beer. Let's talk about gear. You got anything new at the moment, or saving up for anything? Saving up for anything. Churd's absolutely rolling in it. I'm the one who's skint now. I'm down in London. He's probably bought about 15 pedals this week.
That's unfortunately not true.
He is rolling.
I've bought a car. Like properly.
Oh, you have, haven't you? That takes all your gear everywhere, though, doesn't it?
It does. Yeah. So I'm very, very happy with that.
I know what his car is. We don't have to reveal too much. I also know how much he's paying for it, and he is loaded. No, I'm joking. But I think that's good because you've bought a vessel for all of your gear.
Yeah. One of the things I got most excited about was having a boot that could fit everything in. So I've got an estate. So the boot's huge.
To be honest, though, you need it. If you're not going to buy a van, an estate is, if you can come to terms with, looking 10 years older than you are, an estate is a very practical vehicle.
Yeah. It's a far cry away from my old one, my old little Mitsubishi, RIP.
Yeah, Churd had the rubber seals hanging out the boot of his car like two little rock and roll horns when you were driving around.
Yeah.
But I think that car served you well.
Certainly did.
So he sent it to the crusher as a farewell.
I am saving up for. I can't decide what to get. Maybe you can help me out because I know that you use one of these products, but something for.
I know what it is.
Silent recording or not having to use a cab on stage. So a load box type thing.
You actually want to take it out and about with you to use live as well?
Yeah, because that's what's also important is to be able to go into the PA, not necessarily having to mic it up and everything. It's just quicker and it's more consistent.
Basically, we're talking in riddled code right now. Churd is talking about an attenuator or a cab simulator for a studio, home, and live use. So I've got for those of you that don't know, I've got the 2 Notes Torpedo Studio, which is banging, but I have it rack mounted so that I don't take that out. To be honest, I don't play guitar out and about anymore. I'm retired at 31. I'm like Robert Fripp. In fact, I'm going to get Robert Fripp. He can come round and we're just going to have a little jam. The only thing that I'm pissed off about with the 2 Notes is the fact that it doesn't attenuate through a cab. So I am still umming and ahhing about whether to just settle it and get an aux box. Because I miss gunning my amp, but then hearing it. And it's not the same, hearing it quieter. It's not the same to just gun an amp on the 1.3 watt mode or to have your gain cranked but the master volume down. It's not the same. You don't have the headroom. So what are you torn between as your options?
So the cheapest one that I can think of, the cheapest option, is getting a 2 Notes Captor, which is a load box. You can plug your amp head straight into it, and then that takes the load so it won't blow up if you've not got it plugged into a cab.
Yeah.
It can then attenuate the signal, like it can go minus 20 dB, I think, maybe more, which then it can put it out through your speaker as well after that. So you can just attenuate your sound if you want to. Or it can convert it into a line level signal that can then be put into the front of a PA or into your audio interface. And then you can slap a cab sim on that, so you can simulate a cabinet. Because that's
a good old slap.
A big, nice big slap of an EQ curve to make it sound more guitar-y rather than the quite harsh sound of a direct signal. And that would work. And the 2 Notes make that, and they also make a pedal called the Cab M, which is relatively recent, which you can import their own or other impulse responses.
Mm-hmm.
That seems to me like the most compact and cheapest solution, but it's probably the least versatile versus something like they have the Torpedo Live.
Torpedo Live, I know two people who've got one. Carl Golden's got one. He uses that in his studio. Rabia's got one, but he also has the studio.
Yeah.
What's that amp called again? That's now got the 2 notes built into it.
The new Rev D20.
Mm-hmm.
That's essentially what I want to happen to my Victory amp. So I've got a Countess, and I want that without a cab. And
so basically, you just want to cable tie a captor onto the back of it, don't you?
Yeah, but the Rev D20, that's like check that out, because it's ridiculous what they've managed to do with that, and they've spent such a long time, or not a long time, but they've worked so hard to get it sounding right as an amp, like first, and then having obviously the awesome 2 notes magic in the back of it. That's a contender for anyone who wants to just take a bunch of pedals to a gig and a guitar head.
This is not just a podcast about how we both watch Rabia's YouTube channel, but when I watched him demo that amp, I was like, wow, that is mad. That is, tonally, it was amazing. And just the practicality of just having it in there and just having that option at a gig. The only downside of it is if you've got, well, let's say you're, wanting to move to using IRs for the first time, and attenuation and cab sim, and you've got a few amps that you play and you like, then you can't do that. So I would say, as much as it's great having that technology in that one amp and carting that around everywhere, you're stuck to that one amp.
That's a good point.
I have my Laney Lionheart, and I've got my Sheriff 22, and I can go between them when I want for different tones. The cleans on the Laney are pretty magical, and the headroom and the crunch that I can get from the plexi is mad. You're not getting that out of the Laney, so I can chop and change whenever I want. I would say my advice to you is probably I'd go for the Captor, because they're about 100 quid?
200 quid.
Are they two? Okay, 200 quid.
Yeah.
And it's going to do everything you want, and it's not a huge thing to have to cart around in your estate. I think we've narrowed that down. So now it's just down to you to go and buy it and report about how you're getting on with it in the next episode, I think.
Okay. Not pressured into that at all. The only other side of the coin.
Did you see that 2 notes? Did you see that pressure?
But yeah, the alternative is, instead of getting the Captor, maybe investing a little bit more heavily on something like a Torpedo Live or the Oxbox. Most recently is the Boss tube expander.
Oh yeah, of course, yeah. They're Boss are
bossing it.
Stepping up their game at the moment. They're Boss are being Boss, aren't they? I think they've always been around. One of the first pedals I ever bought was what did I buy? I bought the DD3, and I bought a Metal Zone. And is it the Metal Zone or is it the Metal Master?
Metal Zone, greatest distortion pedal I've made.
I bought a DS1. I had the SD1. I had the BD. Is it the BD1, the Blues Driver? I remember I had the BCB6 floorboard. So Boss were like my first experience of pedals and boards. And I had all the Boss patch cables, etc. And then I just sort of steered away from them for ages, because I started discovering stuff that was way more what I consider to be like boutique, and you had more options. And then they just, the past year or two, they've just started coming out with really good stuff. So their versions of the Strymon Big Three. What are they called? I forgot.
Timeline, Big Sky, and Mobius.
No, I know that, but the Bosses are like the
they're the 500 series. So
that's the one.
DD500.
And then they did the ES switches as well, with some really smart technology, though, didn't they? They moving stuff around. No one had done that.
Yeah. Now, there's the 200 series as well that they've just brought out that look really cool. I've not yet tried
they're
any.
slightly more compact, aren't they?
Yeah. Just being able to cram more stuff on your board. that's what you want.
But as well, they did the Katana series as well, which, that little mini amp is awesome. If you're like me at the moment, I'm moving around quite a bit more than I used to be. So I'm teaching on the go over Skype, and I don't want to have to carry like a cube sort of practice amp with me. So I'm probably going to look at getting a little Katana, the mini one.
Yeah. Yeah, I use a Black Star Fly Mini for that.
Yeah, they're pretty good as well, to be honest.
I'm a fan of that. And it's battery powered. Spend no time faffing about. Turn up to your student's house and playing within minutes. Unlike the amount of time that it took to set this up.
Yeah. Well, we're not talking about that because I'm still angry. Anyway, what I would say with moving to a cab sim and using impulse responses, if you want to practice with it at home and attenuate through a cab, Oxbox. If you want to just use something predominantly live, the Torpedo Live is great, but it's a rack mount unit. You could take an aux to a gig and pop it on your amp, and it's got little feet.
Yeah,
like the Torpedo Live and Studio still look like they belong in a studio. The Torpedo Live, if you're putting it in a little touring rack mounted box, great. And some people have a couple of them, and you switch it on, and you've got maybe your compressor in there and your graphic EQ, and like a lot of these big touring guitarists have, great. But if you want to keep it super small, Captor. If you want to have that option to mess around at home and then in the studio, I think the Oxbox wins for me, and it's you could probably get it for sub $1,000 now, I think.
I'll have a little fish around the prices and report back next time.
See what he does, shall we?
So, what sort of gear are you into at the moment?
I have had no time at all to look at any new gear. I haven't purchased any new gear. I wouldn't even know what gear is out there for me to buy because I've had a really crazy 2 months.
It's just not good enough. Why have you not been paying any attention to what's been happening in the gear world? You've not just disappointed me, but you've disappointed everyone else on the planet. You best have a good reason for this.
Everyone on the planet, everyone is disappointed because I haven't bought any gear.
That's what I've been told.
Right. You've got your your Varys from Game of Thrones. Something. What's going on?
Yeah. All my little birds.
Basically,
all three of them.
Basically, I have a new job. For those of you that listen to this podcast who don't watch my YouTube channel, which I think is a pretty slim possibility, I'm now working in London at the BBC, doing radio production across BBC Two, Six Music, and the World Service. I'm working on a podcast called Music Life. So I've been in training and a little bit of college for the past 4 weeks. And then I've had 4 weeks before the previous 2 where I've started my work placement. I've just finished my second full week at work. So it's just been completely full on, meeting 66 new sort of people that are on my scheme and my team, and then going into the actual workplace and having to meet and memorize hundreds of other people's names and what they do. And I've been coming home and just teaching Skype lessons, and then I've had no time to make videos or look for gear. Just about got myself a beer. But yeah, that's why.
That's pretty rough.
How's that excuse? Does that excuse, does it calm your sources?
I think
keep them at bay.
I will get back to you on everyone else, but I empathize with you a little bit, yeah.
Oh, I don't need empathy. Oh, you're empathizing, right? Yeah. I don't need pity or anything. I'm not looking for I don't need a cuddle. But it's been good,
It sounds fantastic, mate. I'm really happy for you. I knew about
Thanks,
this ages ago, but I'm proper made up for you.
You
Good
knew
luck with
about it, but we've not had a chat about it.
We haven't. We.
Is that it? Good luck with it. See, right, moving on.
No. Yeah, we've the problem with doing some of these more creative things. We have to save all the good stuff, so that people can see our genuine reactions.
Ask me some questions. Come on, let's talk about me.
Oh, I asked you the other day who's the most famous person that you bumped into so far on all the gossip.
I can't give you any gossip. I'm contracted. There's no gossip anyway. I bumped into. All right. So I've sat in. So far, I've sat in on Sean Keaveney's show, which was hilarious because he was playing out a pre-recorded interview with someone, and I came into the studio. It was part of my schedule, and he was like, "Hey, how you doing?" Shook his hand, and then he was like, he actually said, like, weren't you in a band? And I think someone on the team had done some research because Sean's actually played Dutch Uncles before, and then he was like, "Oh, no way! Like, now you're here doing the scheme." And then we had a chat about guitars for about 15 minutes, and it was so funny because he was like, "Oh no, I've not picked a song for like the basically there's a part of the show where a caller picks a song based around a certain theme. The theme that day was like children or whatever. So they'd picked Kids by MGMT.
Yep.
And then he picks one on the same theme and it goes out to the listeners and they vote on who wins. Sean always wins because he always picks a good tune. We chatted about guitars for 15 minutes and he forgot to pick a tune and he was like, "Oh no." And then he went back on the air and he was like, "Look," to the caller, "truth is there's a chap in the studio and we've been chatting about guitars for 15 minutes and I haven't picked a tune." And I was like, he said it live on air. I was like, "Oh no." But yeah, he's a really cool guy. He has a fun show. Part of one of his shows though, he has a radio pub and people call in and ask for a certain drink and then they pick a tune and play, which is, I think we should get him on this show, shouldn't we, for beer and gear. Anyway, so who else have I met? I sat in on the Steve Lamacq show and met the Archers. I sat in on the Jeremy Vine show. That was really cool. I met Zoe Ball just outside the lift on floor 2. Foles, Metronomy, Tom Ravenscroft. Yeah, I can't think. Oh, I met Tony Blackburn yesterday.
Really?
Yeah.
That's amazing.
What a legend.
He's radio royalty, isn't he? What sort of things do you have to do then in your BBC schemes?
Basically, it's a 12-month scheme and you're based on, some people are based on Radio 1, that's it. Or like one extra. I'm 2 and 6 and World Service working on this Music Live podcast, which is really sick. So this week I've been researching potential guests to come in and be on Music Live podcast. It's a really cool podcast because it's like 4 musicians and they just sit in a room together and talk about how they make music and their experiences, which is really cool. So I'll be looking at like specific days and gig dates, see who's in town, and then ask them if they want to come in. And with it being the World Service, it has like a huge reach, hundreds of millions of people tune in every year and it goes out to Africa, the States, etc. So, there's a lot of world music on there. It's not just like British indie. You're talking about like singers from Ghana or like Peru, Portugal, like wherever. It's been really fun. And one of the things that I've kind of deprived myself of over the sort of past few years is like genuinely sort of hunting out new music because I've been very sort of self-involved with my YouTube channel and like just taking the odd request or thinking, all right, that classic rock song with tutorial was popular, so I'll just do another one.
Yeah.
So every day I'm like, who's this? And then I'll put it on Spotify whilst I do the guest notes and I'll be like, wow, I've never heard of them before. And then I look and they've got like 35 million hits on a single. I was like, why have I not heard that song?
Yeah.
It's because I've been in my own head, I guess. And I'm really liking coming home and saying, hey, Gab, check out this album. And she's like, yeah, I heard that. I was like, oh, I've been in a hole. So listening to new music all day, every day is, I'm super happy about that. But another thing I've been doing like is editing the second parts of like the podcasts and doing the fades and taking like archive tracks and dropping them in and basically getting things ready to go out on air, which is pretty cool.
Well,
I've got a bike now, so I'm cycling in, so no more sweaty tubes. I've got all the gear. It's all black, so obviously I'm vain. I like all black. The downside is you can't see me when I'm cycling, so it's quite dangerous.
You're like a bike
I've also
ninja.
joined the I do look like a bike ninja, but I've joined the gym as well because I don't know if you've noticed, but if you ever see me in my YouTube videos when I'm playing guitar, my arms look like Twiglet crisps. And I look like a weed, and I'm not very strong, and I just don't think I can look after myself on the streets of London anymore. So I'm going to the gym. I'm gonna get in shape. I'm gonna stop drinking beer.
Apart from on
after these,
yeah,
and yeah, new job, new me, Churd. Get ready for the best version of me. I'll still interrupt you. I'll still be impatient. I'll still shout at you. Don't worry. Still be argumentative about string gauges, but feeling good.
I expect nothing less.
What about you? What's new with you?
Speaking of Gabby, I went to see a different Gabby recently. I
Which
saw
one?
Gabriella of Rodrigo and Gabriella fame,
Oh, sick!
Yeah, they were incredible.
Where do they play? The acoustic guitar duo, aren't they?
Yeah. So I got into them, I don't know, about 10 years or so ago, and I started to learn how to hit the guitar and do all the percussive stuff that she does. And I've taught it to loads of people as well. Like, one of my favorite things about learning how to do her little triplety slap thing is that when you've got a big group of year 3s, year 4s teaching in schools that I do, and they just won't be quiet, just crack out some Rodrigo Gabriella, and they're like, oh, what is this? Oh my God. How are you?
What's that, Mr. Churd?
Yeah, Mr. Churd, how are you doing that so quickly with your right hand? Yeah, that's a can-can.
I could do it. Do you know who taught me that? Zeppelin Banatra of Instagram fame. One of my old buddies. Nathaniel Murphy, exceptional player, but he learnt that from Justin King, Functified, or whatever it's called.
Good for you.
But yeah, so that's really cool. Where did they play?
They live in Liverpool up here. Academy One.
That's a good venue. That's a big venue.
Yeah.
Busy?
Yeah, it was rammed. It was rammed. I got some good videos. You know what I'm like with social media.
Yeah, you're great. It's not like I just had to show you how to post a story on Instagram before or anything, is it, Chad?
It's just not my forte. I'm not good at being social, media-y. I'm being good at
building computers. You might be able to see Churd's lovely home built, absolute Ryzen workhorse machine in the background that I helped him build. When I say I helped him build, I turned up, ran out of memory card space, filming him try and build it, and then I went home and never made the video.
Yeah. Good times.
Good times.
Yeah, I thought we were saying. Rodrigo Gabriella, they were amazing. They I need to put some of their videos that I shot up on the YouTube or on the Instagram or whatever the kids do.
Snapchat.
And Bebo, who I missed last night because I was gigging. I'm very upset. One of my friends went to go watch them. John Mayer was playing.
Everyone missed John Mayer apart from all my friends.
Oh, I'm so upset about it. But yeah.
Yeah, he played 2 nights at the O2.
He was, yeah.
He's a ridiculously good player, John. And I've never seen him before. Would have been good to see him. What else have you been up to, Churd?
Well, since our last podcast, which was forever ago, because as we've already mentioned, we've been quite busy.
It's more my fault. I mean, we were hard to pin each other down, but with the new job. And I've moved house. I've moved as well.
Yeah, it's definitely your fault. However, I had the luxury of doing a wedding in France that was really nice. We got to go out and just a couple of random people that we met, and yeah, they asked us to come play their wedding in France, and that was amazing. They had such a really nice day. I'd like to do a
Do you
few
see,
more
that
of
sounds
them.
so cool. You were telling me about that. I've never done anything like that. I think I would really, really love that kind of. I never did anything sort of like. I don't want to use the word function. Going out to do like weddings in France and then getting to spend some time out there, being really looked after.
Yeah.
Super exciting. I'll get married. You can come and play at my wedding.
Sweet. Yeah.
But you better not get drunk because I'll be paying you a lot of money.
That's fine. We are very professional until after
He's
the
not.
gig.
Hey guys, you're listening to the Ramble On podcast with Sped and Churd. Check us out on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and follow us on Instagram and Twitter. All right, so this game or section of the show we would call Guess Who. And I'm going to take a clip from YouTube or Instagram or an Instagram story or whatever of a famous guitarist. I will play that down the mic and you don't get to see them. You just have to guess who it is.
Cool.
What do you think?
Yeah, I'm ready for it.
Also, people listening can join in as well. If they don't want to cheat, they can pause, have a think, and if they work it out, you know? Right. Here we go. Here's mine. I'm going to go first.
Interesting.
Guess who? That was sick.
It was very sick. It was very sick, but there's lots of stuff in there that's like, there's a Bonamassa lick thrown in there, but then there's a shed load of sweeping and
There was a Bonamassa thing in there, yeah, which was credited in the description of the clip.
was it?
Or at least saying that I've been listening to a lot of this at the moment. Mixed techniques in there.
There was.
And different style, really good. And some beautiful tones and playing. Who are you going for?
I'm trying to think, who would you have picked?
That's not the game. It's who do you think it is?
I know. Is it one of your mates? Is it Danny?
No. It's not one of my mates.
Do I get another guess now?
Just give me an actual better guess than that.
A better guess.
Come on, who is it? Who do you think it is? Go.
It was dead good. It could have been a lot of really good guitarists. I'm going to guess. No, I genuinely don't know. You have to help me out.
It was Joss Allen.
Ah, cool. Fair enough.
I think that was a good example of a clip I could play by Joss because he's sick. He likes heavy tones and he's got so much in his bag in terms of technique. He can sweep for days. He can pick fives for days.
He didn't do his signature.
And then he puts in...
He didn't do his signature, like, proper 3-note per string, shreddy, double up, all the way up the neck thing. If he'd have done that, I'd have got him straight away.
He did a little bit, and then he finished with that little lick in the middle.
Yeah.
You're annoyed though, aren't you? Because you know.
I know.
You follow
Yeah,
him.
I know. Josh is awesome. I'm blaming Skype.
Shut up, Churd. Get on with it. It's your go. You're full of excuses.
All right, good luck,
You're
mate.
a sore loser. I'm going to get mine straight away.
Cool.
that was delightful. Everything about that was so perfectly controlled and musical. I've not heard that. I would recognize it if I'd have flicked through Instagram or YouTube or whatever and seen someone play. My gut tells me to swing to Guthrie.
It's not Guthrie.
Because I know you're a big fan, but I think that would have been too obvious.
Yep.
So there we go. I don't think it's that Mateus.
Nope, it's not Mateus Asato. It's not him.
I don't think it's Chris Buck because he's not usually that busy with chords, but it had a couple of those licks in there and the sliding forwards and backwards, loose, beautiful playing. I would guess the guitarist, I just said it wasn't. If they had a kid together, it would be them. It could be Larry Basilio.
It's not, no.
I wish it was, though, because she's fucking brilliant.
She is
brilliant.
brilliant.
I love her.
Yep.
She's like one of my favorite players ever.
Yep.
Um,
It's a fellow Liverpudlian.
Oh, I know who it is, but I can't think of his name.
Yeah.
It's that guy that we saw outside the pub, isn't it?
It is.
What's his name?
It's Jack Gardiner.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's boss.
That's insane.
I've met him a handful of times, but he like I assume he lives around the corner from me because we bump into each other on the street. But he's an incredible player.
Sweet. And what's his history?
I've met him mainly like at Tom Quayle things, the place that I used to work for, put on a clinic. I met all them lot.
I love the word clinic because like when you say stuff like, oh, I met him at a Tom Quayle clinic, like he's opened up like a charity and he has drop-ins of people who have got like guitar Tourette's or something.
Yeah, and he needs to heal them. Yeah, no, but Jack's fantastic, and he plays all the time around Matthew Street. He's usually in there in one of the bars, wailing away. He does a lot of like cover gigs and stuff, but he started to post much more on social media. Definitely follow Jack because he's fantastic. I assume most people.
What's he called again? One more time.
Jack Gardiner.
Jack Gardiner. All the J's are out today. So for those of you that don't know Joss Allen, he used to work at Anderton's and he became part of their product demo team. He's a really nice guy from what I've seen of him. I've never met him, but he follows me on Instagram and we've chatted about stuff. He's a ferocious player. Predominantly, I'd say he's a really heavy player, but he has these super awesome, really tasteful blues licks that he sort of goes to, and then he goes like into sweeping metal, and he does lessons and loads of stuff on Instagram and YouTube. And they're Guitar Bros demos, doesn't he?
Yeah, so Guitar Bros.
He demos.
Guitar Bros is the main thing that I associate him with.
But yeah, he's a cool guy. You should check him out. Let us know what you think of Guess Who. I came up with it as we started the podcast. I think Churd liked it, but he's annoyed. And when he gets one right, he'll be very happy. Moving into the final part of episode 2 of Ramble On, we have a question here on YouTube from Taha Tuna, and he wants to know what our favourite songs by Slash are.
Is that songs just by Slash or Guns N' Roses? Does it have to?
I'd say Slash.
But does that include his band's Velvet Revolver in there?
I'd just go with Slash.
Or do I just have to say Anastasia and be just rubbish and go for the one that...
Is that your one? Is that your favourite Slash song, Anastasia?
It's a pretty good one. It's one that I have to teach a lot.
I would say, yeah, to be honest, that's the one that a lot of people ask if they want to learn a Slash song. It doubles up as a really good exercise, that though, for like...
Yeah.
It reminds me of an old Paul Gilbert exercise that I used to do, but that was on one string, and this one obviously goes across two, doesn't it?
Yep.
Sort of back and forth. Good for alternate picking and warming up your fingers. I would go with Too Far Gone. That's actually one of my favourite Slash tunes. I also like Not For Me. I think that's an absolute banger. I love the opening to that because he's picking like lower inversions of major chords, just doing, you know what I mean, like the E major shape, but on the low 3 strings.
Yeah.
Which you don't often hear on a guitar, and it's a kind of it's a chunky, unique sound. I like, Not For Me, Too Far Gone. I really like The Great Pretender. We got another question from Steve703 on Instagram. Good username, Steve. It's Steve703. I like it. You must just be the 703rd Steve to get Instagram. But he wants to know what the younger generation of guitarists are being nourished on. Hopefully a tit. No, joking. No, we'll cut that bit out.
Hopefully a what? I missed that. Sorry.
A tit.
You are a tit.
I guess he's probably asking, in terms of influences, whether people are still going back to 50s, 60s, or, is it modern pop and rock?
Yeah.
Is that going to...
I find this on a daily basis really interesting. It's the kind of thing that I think about all the time. Like my job during the daytimes when I'm not playing guitar, trying to be a rock star, is to teach all the young ones the stuff that I wish I knew when I was their age, and giving them all the tools and skills that they need to learn music. And it's not just guitar, it's like your basic stuff like rhythms and notes and be able to read and whatnot. But you've got to I feel that you've got to dress it up nicely in a package where it's like, oh, this is really exciting. So I think the way to do that is to find the songs that they want to learn.
I will take a student's request of a song I'm not too keen on, happily work it out and teach it to them if they're enthused, because the practice time is so much more important than me teaching them something I like. So I'm very selfless in that respect. If I get a student who wants to do grades, it's a syllabus. You can't argue with it. Here's the work you need to do it. You've got a grade, and I know how to pass them. I've done them myself. However, if it's a student who just wants to learn songs because they just want to chill, you get that more with the adults because they're kind of like, these are the songs I've loved over the years. I will say, well, what are your favorite ones? And I'll maybe say that one's got a good solo in it. That one's got some good stuff in the verse. And I know for a fact that they're at least 70% more likely to put in the required practice time in the week because of their genuine enthusiasm and excitement for that tune than me giving them something they don't know.
Well, yes. So my tying back to Steve's question.
Who's Pete?
I'm so sorry, Steve. Steve's question, like, what is everyone being nourished on? Like, I like to give people the opportunity to say, oh, I really like this song and can we learn it? And then I go, of course you can. It's this amount of chords, or this is how you play it. And what I like to do sometimes is to show them how that I would go about doing that. One of my favorite lessons to give people is how to play on one string. I play Twinkle Twinkle Little Star, and we start them off with the first two notes, and they go E, E, B, B, and then I'm like, do you know what that is? And they're like, no. It's like, it's Twinkle Twinkle Little Star. I'm gonna stop whispering because that sounds creepy, but then they then go off and
really hope you don't do that in your lessons like
that. But then when they figure out, oh, if I just move my finger about and figure out which fret it is, it's starting to sound right. And then they come back, and then next week they can play it. And then every week after that, they come in and they don't even like talk to me. They just come down and start playing Twinkle Twinkle or whatever it was that they were learning by ear, because they've got that sense of achievement that they did it. So that's a brilliant thing. But they're not.
That's a great little hack, isn't it? It's a good tool. Like you give them a skill set that they can. I figured this out by myself. I'm proud of that, and I'm going to keep doing it. Like that happens to me with my students. If they say this is my favorite riff, and I teach it them, and they can do it, it's the one they sit down with as soon as they pick up the guitar and they play it first.
Exactly. I think that once you get people understanding and playing something, then they then will do more of it because they're just getting rewarded every time they make a cool sound. Like the recent one I've been teaching everyone, or a lot of people, is Senorita. It's got a cool little riff.
Yep.
And that's because I've gone and thought, I have this big wealth of classic rock riffs or jazz or blues, and I know that these kids haven't heard that before. Do I force that upon them in the hope that, you know, one or two of them go, I really now like Jimi Hendrix? And which does happen. I'd still do that. But for a big group lesson, I'll teach them where the notes are. I'll teach them how to play Senorita, and then they can do it. And then I'll maybe introduce some of the classic stuff. I'm like, well, this song sounded a little bit like this, and try this out. And then I get some of the greatest moments ever where I went into a brand new school this year, sat down with them, explained all the basics of how to play guitar and stuff, and we started on Smoke on the Water. And then at the end of the lesson, it was like, what sort of stuff do you guys like? And I'll write it down, and I'll see what music we can incorporate into our lessons in the future. And one of the little kids just went, I really like the Beatles. I want to learn all of the Beatles. And I was like, yes, cool. And I think what it boils down to, what you like is what you're influenced by. So I think that it's our responsibility as teachers to teach them about the history of guitar and to...
That's what I was going to say, the history of it. It is, you know, where it started is really important, because I feel like now with all the technology nowadays and the different platforms, there's not one big thing anymore. Like, I feel like, you know, in the 60s, it was one thing. In the 70s, you know, that Queen were like the band at one point. Led Zeppelin were the band, Hendrix. And then it was like, it's 90s, it was like grunge, and you had like Nirvana and Oasis, and those were the bands. And then now, it's not. There's all these bands out there. There's so many artists that are huge, like massive, that I've never heard of. That's what I've been, you know, the past couple of weeks working at the BBC, I've been like, who the hell's this? Click. It's like 150 million views on YouTube, and I've never heard of them.
Yeah.
Like, that's gargantuan. It's massive. And you have to respect that just because I don't know them doesn't mean that it's not cool, or there's not going to be some incredible guitar in there that this person wants to learn. So I guess what they've been nourished on, it's just whatever. It's kind of like not being a granddad about it as a teacher, I think. Not being like, back in my day, it was all good bands like Jimi Hendrix and Led Zeppelin, and the youth today just listen to auto-tuned crap. I guess people just don't think there's any icons anymore, but we only look back at the icons after like 20 years. So maybe in 20 years, there will be some icons from today. I don't know. But what they've been nourished on, it's a case of maybe, look, Steve, you've just got to let go of what you love and let people love what they love. Wrap it up, Churd. Wrap it up.
Yeah, I think that it's the responsibility of the older generation to educate the newer generation on, there's only two types of music. There is good music and there is other music that you didn't like. And I think that if you have an open mind, listen to as much as you can, then you will be well nourished. It's all about having a nice balanced diet.
That is some musical nutrition health there from Dr. Churd.
I'm going to leave it there. I think I peaked.
I think you peaked a while ago, Churd.
Hey guys, you're listening to Ramble On podcast. You can listen to us on Podbean, Spotify, and Apple Podcasts. Feel free to follow us on Instagram or Twitter. We are at Ramble_on_podcast.